What is going on, traders, and welcome back to IFX Success. And let's continue on how to plan and win your trades. And I'm going to show you an Excel spreadsheet that is going to help you do your homework better on how to plan and how to win those trades. That, this is actual homework. You can't be just trading just out of nothing, to see which trade is the one that works best. And this is also going to be a good filter in order for us to actually trade better in the market. So we already talked about how we can know that when we used a reversal block, that what we did is that if we get a reversal block today, we are planning for the next day or the next following days, which is the best that trade that can happen. Like over here we had a reversal block or a regular block, and the next day is the one that it actually worked out. Does it happen all the time? Of course not. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's the idea that it can actually work out and we can get there. So what are we always looking for? We're looking for M and W formations, right? When we're buying or selling, we can tell here that the market had a strong downtrend. We were hoping for a signal, either a 1 or a 2 signal based on the previous video, but we didn't give it to us, but the market came back to test the previous block, and then from there it kind of nicely went to the other side, right? It reversed back. Maybe this over here might be a nice resistance. This is a resistance over here as well. So the market, kind of came to this this resistance level or zone, and today we got a nice block. Does it mean that is it going to it's a selling block? Does it mean that we have to sell? Well, that's part of the homework that we're going to do, and that's why we have an Excel spreadsheet as well. So the idea here is now that the market went up, right? Let me just draw it over here. The market went up, and the idea is that today we got a 1 signal. Maybe it might go down a little bit more close to the mid level right over here, and then the expectation is that it reverses back close to the block, and then it would drop, right? And that this would happen on this following day. So how do we plan on the next following day? That is what we're going to talk about here again. We're going to be using an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to be using also other time frames that can help us out better on making a decision. Again, you have to use the EA as well and the dashboard so that you can filter out, and the EA is going to help you pretty much enter for you really quick. If you have like 10 or 5 pairs already like on the lookout, so you pretty much just put the EA to do the work for you. You don't have to do all the work. Okay, so now let's talk about just one thing before we move on to the Excel spreadsheet. Let's talk about the MACD, the divergence. Okay, I'm gonna be using the 5, 14, and 2, and the MACD divergence. If you know or you may not know, is that pretty much is the opposite of what's going on the MACD. If the MACD is going up and the market just keeps going lower and lower, that is called divergence. So right over here we had a small divergence. So where's the lowest between yesterday and today? Talking about this level here and here, the lowest was right over here on the MACD, right? So we can draw a line, and we know that the market kept on going lower. But if I draw a line from the lowest part to this part, well, we know that the MACD, we had a divergence. There are many indicators out there that would draw divergence for you. I just pretty much can see it quickly, what is going on. So right over here we have a divergence, which is a good sign. So when we get a block, when we get a divergence, there are good probabilities that we can buy right away. But if you want to wait, especially if we had a big drop over here, then what we do is we just wait for the next day, right? And the next day we can plan it by what? By setting the EA to either buy on a block retest that makes sure that it goes above the midline, the prior day mid level, that is above the moving average. You have a lot of information, a lot of filters that can help you out. And well, this trade actually worked out very nicely. I did buy on this day and I held it until, not too much. Unfortunately, I didn't let it run for too long. But so what do we do in here? is that when we go to the Excel spreadsheet, we're gonna fill it out, like let's just say it happened today, right? What do? We fill it out. We're gonna, let me just erase this. So let's say pound dollar, we had on a 1 hour block, we had a bullish block, right? Then we're gonna see in a little bit what happened on the 4 hours, and then we're gonna see what happened on the 4 hour cycle. Did we had a MACD, 1 hour MACD divergence? Yes, right? And at the time of the block, we were not above of the mid-level, but if we wanted to buy on the next day, this following day, we were going to be above the mid-level, right? So depending on when you're buying and stuff like that, then you will have to decide here if you want to be, let's say you want to be above, you were looking at the next day already, and you would just set the EA to do a buy for you, or you can just do a manual buy, right? So now the question is between here, the 4 hour block, or it's a 4 hour cycle. So let's take a look in here. What were we having on that particular day? So I'm sure there was a strong downtrend that we didn't have anything under the 4 hour yet. So under the 4 hour, we did have also a bullish reversal block, okay? To me, that is sufficient to make a decision under the 1 hour. I don't have to wait for the regular block. So, if anything, you can wait until the next day, which did happen on the next day. So, but on this particular day, when I had my 1 hour block happening, I did also get a bullish block on 4 hours. So like I said, to me, that's sufficient enough. So we would just write bullish, right? And on here, we're gonna write the 4 cycle, which is going to be a 3. Why is it number 3? Well, because right over here we have a number 3 bullish cycle, okay? So that's what we're expecting in here. So we have pretty much a lot of stuff going our way. This is a strong bullish number 3 cycle, and all we have to do, like I said, I did set it to buy, and I did win this trade. So one of the things is, let's just say you didn't have, let's just say you had a bearish block, right? Over here. Okay, here, bearish block. Right over on the right hand side, you're going to have arrows where you can actually have selections of what's going on, right? So you can have that, which is really neat. And then you can say, maybe you had a number 2 bullish cycle. So what does that mean? Can you still buy in here? That is the question. Can we still buy if something like this? Yes, I would still buy myself. I would still consider a buy. So let's just say, let's just find a number 2 cycle on a 4 hours. So we're looking for something bearish. Okay, right here we did have a before we did have here a bearish. This eventually converted into something else, but eventually this, let's just say this was bearish, and we were looking for what, a bullish number 2, right? So on 4 hours, the cycle, especially number 2, and the cycles are pretty strong, if I run this 1 to here is already like 100 and something pips, and then from here to here is 135 pips. So it is a lot. The move is still quite big, okay? So it is, just keep that in mind. Just because you have a bearish bearish block on 4 hours does not mean that you cannot do the opposite. And but when would you do the opposite? You would do the opposite when you have already a cycle that it ended. So you would make a decision right after this number 2 cycle. So if I got a bullish, let's say, like in this example, we had a bullish block, but we have a bearish 4 hour block, but we have a cycle number 2 that is bullish, and maybe we do have even a MACD divergence, I will still make a decision, but I will know that I cannot keep this trade for too long, because it still is bearish, right? On the 4 hours, we're still on a bearish trend, but what we're doing is just what we're doing in here is just pretty much a cycle, right? Just keep this in mind. Let's just say, the market does this, it does this right here. Eventually it did go up, it was kind of ranging from here, but eventually it did drop. So if you're buying in here, you know that you cannot hold forever because you're going against this block right here, okay? This block right here. So yes, you still can do that, but again, you still do have to be careful with it, but you still can make a decision and pretty much trade on those cycles, even though you're going against the 4 hour major trend, okay? So the same thing over here, we have a bearish blocks, and number ones are shorter cycles, but let's say you did get a buying decision, right here from here to here, it was 100 pips. So if you got a 1 hour block and you have a one cycle to buy, then you know that you could do a buy, or you can buy, but you have to make it short. You cannot leave it there forever. And then we have a number one cycle here that eventually kept on dropping and dropping. So just keep in mind the cycles are very nice, are very important. Again, here we have a 2, from 2 to 2, and in between of the 2 we have number one cycles, okay? So just write it down what you see. And if you have everything, if you're above mid-level and you have even a MACD divergence, this is not necessary. But if you have a bullish number one or number two, although you're going against a major block, it's okay. You can still make buying decision, okay? That is really up to you. Or if you just want to wait for the bearish number two and then eventually wait for a bearish block, then that is fine with me. It's really whatever you like better, but like I say, you can still make a decision based on that. So that's pretty much it when it comes down to 1 hour and 4 hour entry strategy, right? So we're looking at the 1 hour block. If it happened today or yesterday or even the day before, not too old, then we make sure what is the actual trend or block on 4 hours. Then we know what type of cycle are we having. If we are going against the trend, if we're going against the 4 hour, I would like to know what type of cycle are we having. Or if we're, let's say we have bearish, and then you have on top, maybe you have a bullish cycle, then you shouldn't be selling anymore under the 1 hour because you have a bullish number two cycle. So what is the market going to do? Is going to go up to keep on going down. So be careful with that. And MACD divergence, that's up to you, and mid-level is also up to you if you want to follow that. It's not mandatory, but it's always good to know. Now the second example here would be the M15 and H1. You can just pretty much clear these contents in here. So it will be almost the same methodology as going as the previous example. So you look for M15 block, going based on the 1 hour block or going based on cycle. So you can trade on either the block or the cycle, right? That's pretty much what I'm trying to go with in here. And then the MACD divergence also should happen on 15 minutes. And also, if you're above or below the mid-level. So that's really up to you of what you want to do. So one example would be, now let's go down to 1 hour, and let's just kind of go a little bit more back in here. So if I have in here 1 hour block, I'm not going to enter right away on 15 minutes. I'm gonna wait for the next day, right? So all I would do is I would wait for the next day, and I would look if I have any divergence on 15 minutes. I would set the EA to buy on a reversal block or any block that you like, whether it's on any cycle 1, 2, or 3, and you would just pretty much make sure that you're above the mid-level and above the 1 hour moving average, and then that is how the trades can develop, right? So let's just say in here, for one example, you would have had a bullish block in here, okay? I'm just gonna give you an example. This was in an invalid one, but it was a bullish block, okay? It was a bullish bearish block and bullish regular block as well. happening right over here. The market did go up, but unfortunately it hit a mid-level resistance in here, and then it dropped. So you could have gone against this level right here, pretty much wait. You got a 1 and a 1, and you can just say maybe we go to 4 hours and kind of see what is going on. But if you saw that maybe this hit this resistance, and if we go below this prior day mid-level today, we go below this prior day mid-level, well, what is that telling me? That this block is going to become invalid, and we're just gonna continue with the trend, with the downtrend. So on 15 minutes, we can actually look for a selling opportunity on any block, right? On any 15-minute block, whether reversal, regular block, or so let's take a look in here. So right over here, we would have had the bearish block happening. On the next day, it did happen over here. Then we had a retest of that block right over here, and then the market dropped after that, okay? And then you pretty much would have gotten not any other opportunity to sell whatsoever, with, well, at least with the block, or maybe in 5 minutes. But if you were following the 15 minutes and 1 hour strategy, well, this would have been the entry, which would have been very early on. And this is pretty much the beginning of the Asian session, okay? So you would have missed it. So that's why you would set the EA to enter for you based on what you're looking at, right? You set it, hey, listen, we just got a continuation of a trend. If by any chance a block happens below the mid-level, prior to the mid-level, you know what, give me an entry, because most likely the market is going to keep on going, continuing with that trend. And all you have to do is pretty much write it in here, right? So we just say, on pound dollar, let's just say we had a bearish block, but on 1 hour we had a bullish block, reversal block, or whichever block. But we kind of had a one signal bearish cycle, bearish block, okay? And was there any divergence in here? Let's see on 15 minutes. Well, we will have to go back a little bit in time, and well, we kind of didn't get any divergence, because this went up and then this MACD kind of stayed within the same level. So there was no divergence. But so the only thing is that I would just leave that alone. I would just say no, and I would just say below mid-level, right? So to me, I would just trigger the EA to sell, because most likely I would be sleeping, and that's pretty much it, right? So I'm going with the 1 hour bearish cycle, and what I'm doing is I'm going that is below the prior day mid-level. What I'm analyzing is that this bullish block on 1 hour was just pretty much invalid, was not going to keep on going, because based on what I saw at the end of the day, that it did, what did it do? Pretty much what we got at one cycle, we would expect the market to go down. It hit the resistance, and that was pretty much it. Again, you can still look at 4 hours, kind of see what is going on in 4 hours to give you a better look at of what's going on. Well, the market kept on going, dropping. Eventually, it did give you a buy entry, right? Which would have actually worked out very nicely. So again, right over here, all we do is expect, if at the end of the day we're just gonna get a number 1 cycle, and we just write everything down and just kind of help us out make a better decision. So I hope this was clear. I hope this is helpful in win or loss. And then that's it. Just kind of keep track of what you're doing. This will help you keep track. You can even filter out this you can filter out to show you only what's bullish or bearish, or if you can filter out your results, which ones were your losses. So what you do is analyze why you lost that trade, see what was going on. You pretty much had everything going your way and you had a loss. So, you know, this is the only way that you can actually better yourself, you know, get the education that you need, you know, learn from the market and say, well, what was going on? Did I get any news, or what the hell was going on? Right? So this will be the only way that you can actually get better and get better results at the end of the day. So you can filter anything that you want, you know, divergence, you know, 1 cycles, and 2, you know, kind of see what was going on at the end of your trading week, or this is daily, you know, you can set it up as whatever you want. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Write down any comments, like the video, and you can email me, or I can see you on Telegram, and I will be willing to answer all your questions. All right, traders, I will see you around, and thank you.